What's poppin', y'all? Aiden Ross decided to make some comments that PlaqueBoyMax decided to clap back at, and man, he should have just left it alone. So I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
Yesterday again.
No, but guys, people don't watch girl streamers unless they want to them or they have weird fantasies about them. I don't know if you guys are laughing. You know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth, bro. You know I'm telling the truth, and you know I'm being real.
Nah, Aiden, that's fried, bro. Like, that is fried. That's fried. That's fried. That's fried. That's a fried take, bro.
Like, Pokemate's whole chat. Come on, bro. Come on. Imagine what they look like, those viewers. People don't watch girl streamers unless they're attracted to them. Name a fat, ugly streamer who's popular. Can't do it.
This is, once again, also, this some bubble. Y'all know what I'm saying, chat? This is some bubble because maybe your audience, gang, but come on, bro. You telling me Vanilla Mace, KDB, Yana, even Wendy, you feel me? Senna, you're telling me people don't just watch.
So here, Aiden Ross says the most obvious thing that we've ever heard, and then PlaqueBoyMax got the nerve to try and say otherwise? Really? Ain't no way. Like, first, let's start off with this. Streamers, and we're talking about the major platforms. Let's just take Twitch, for instance, and Kick even more so. These platforms are majority male. They are a majority male. So when you go on the platform, there's going to be barely any female viewers. And these female streamers are competing with people like a Kai Cenat. They're competing with people like an XQC. They are competing with people like an Aiden Ross, FaZe Jason, a Lacey, a Marlon, Speed. What female streamer is even creating close to the level of content that these guys are? A DDG as well, right? And this is just strictly entertainment value. I mean, dude, it's sparse. It's very, very few and far between. So now that we've got that all out of the way, so it leans majority male, the audience, and there's the competition for the content. And at that point, a lot of them are already cooked. However, when you look at the top streamers for female streamers, right? How many of them are flat out busted? Like, we're talking hard to look at. Not really, not many, not any that I can think of off the top of my mind. And if they are hard to look at without makeup, they know how to put on enough makeup to look decent. Now, I will say, though, that one of the biggest streamers now that I think, and she's not that huge of a streamer, that I think males watch without wanting to crack or without like lustful intention is Nina Lynn. As annoying as she is, like I've already said that she's a star, but I think the reason why is that she falls under this archetype where people kind of see her as a bro. Like, she's got the deep voice, she's aggressive. It's like, yo, that could be the homie. So I think that's the only person I can think of off the top of my mind. And PlaqueBoyMax got the nerve to, and this is the thing, I know he's not being serious. No, he's 100% not being serious. So when somebody does something like this, it's like, yo, what are you doing? What are you trying to point out? Because you know how we can easily solve this? Because he's trying to point it out like, yeah, you know, Aiden Ross and his guys, they're on that weird stuff, quote unquote weird stuff, which is just the regular user behavior across the entire internet. But, you know, we're different over here. Really. So how about we pull PlaqueBoyMax's paperwork. So PlaqueBoyMax should pull up his paperwork. You know, you can see the female streamers that he follows and the male streamers that he follows, and you can pull up somebody's watch time on a channel. So you can, I think they have a bot for it. I know it's available on Kick for sure, but Twitch, there's got to be some function for it. So let's pull up let's have him pull up the paperwork of the watch time that he has on female streamers and the watch time that he has on male streamers. And I guarantee you, his watch time on female streamers is not high at all. And let's do that for the rest of his mans and them too. Let's be real here. And if anybody whose view time or watch time is very, very high on a female streamer, for the majority of Twitch history, the female streamers that were at the top of the game, you had Amaranth, it was baiting. So there's a reason why they also didn't show their relationships, because they knew that it would tank. It would tank their whole career. So PlaqueBoyMax trying to make it seem like, yeah, you know, people just watch chicks. And this is another thing, though, because things are changing. So, for example, Wendy Ortiz is different because she has majority female fan base that are watching her, and she brought a new audience to Twitch. And that is very, very different from a lot of these other streamers that either female streamers that may have started off game, like for example, Pokimane, she started off in gaming. Who else? Valkyrae. She started off in gaming. So they were females that were in a male-dominated, overwhelmingly male, and then overwhelmingly male streamers too. Because you gotta give some credit where credit is due to already exist as a woman at that time. Like now, it's not as bad. It was really difficult just to play the game, especially if there's voice, which I think there was in Fortnite at the time. But for like games like Pokimane was playing, there was no voice, so they wouldn't know if you were a chick or not. But to be one of the few chicks playing the game and then to actually stream yourself and subject yourself to comments it takes a lot of bravery. It does. So at that point, they were all just a male audience was forming around them. And then there was the era of female streamers that they would either play single or they would be in relationships with male streamers. This was a thing for quite a while too, and they would like kind of climb the ladder, the social ladder, when the Twitch streamer like universe was a lot smaller, when it had shrunk. Now you have a lot of female streamers that have come out in the past couple of years, like a Zoe Spencer. Like I don't think dudes are watching Zoe Spencer because they want to get with her. Maybe some do, but I also think there's a distinction between guys that watch a female streamer and they would get with her given the opportunity versus guys that watch a female streamer that desperately want to get with her. And I think those are two very, very, very different scenarios. Like for example, a Amaranth, right? All of those viewers, they're trying to crack Amaranth. Like that's the only, like look at the type of content that she puts out. But like I said, a Zoe Spencer, it might be a mixed bag. But Zoe Spencer is not one of the biggest female streamers. And therein lies the problem, is that to be one of the biggest female streamers with a male audience, you almost have to play that kind of seductress role. And that's the difficult part of it. Aiden Ross, he would respond to PlaqueBoyMax and he would say, I respect the PR. And I will admit, if it isn't Wendy Ortiz who has an actual female fan base, I stand by my statement. Female streamers are watched by men. That's why they are all in under-the-radar relationships and won't tell their audience to farm parasocial chatters. Now, this is very true, but I think the game of streaming overall is parasocial. Like people, like for Aiden Ross, like these people think they're your friend. A lot of these people think they're your family. That's why you get such crazy things like doxing, swatting, stalking. Streamers get this more than most other entertainment careers are. Like they will get this more than content creators, because back in the day, TV series and movies stars, they were getting the same type of stuff or this same type of reactions from people like stalkers and people thinking that they were friends with the character in the movie, not even the person. So when you look at the top female streamers, none of them are really busted. However, if you look at the top male streamers, the same thing is not true. And I'm actually going to play you guys this clip when Asmongold reacts to it, because I think he provides a little bit more nuance that I can add to and add some detail that he missed as well.
Aiden Ross says people don't watch girl streamers unless they want to them. I think that's generally true. I actually do. I think it's true generally on Twitch. It's not always true, but I would say the overlap, like that Venn diagram there, those circles are pretty close together. It might not sound good. But I think that's a fact. He's projecting. Then why is every single girl that's a popular streamer attractive? I wonder. So, but you can't say that about guys. I wonder why. And it's just, I don't know why people don't understand that and don't get that. If you're a chick, you can't be fat and popular unless you're a VTuber. Truth nuke. Truth, Omega nuke, super nuke. That's the truth. If you go and you look at the top 100 male streamers, you are going to see some chopped dudes. There's going to be somebody probably in the top 5. Maybe I might be having a good month this month. I don't know yet. That definitely is not really conventionally attractive. But if you go and you look at the female streamers, 100 out of 100 of those female streamers are attractive. That's a fact. Queso's not chopped. I didn't say that. Queso, no. I was talking about myself. Queso's a great guy. Yeah, he's got a jolly, like, definitely he's a nicer guy. There's probably more girls that watch Queso than anybody else on the whole platform. Of course, I'm not talking about Queso. I'm talking about myself. Yeah, I'm talking about myself. So no, what I'm saying is that in general, like, if you fat and you're ugly, you're not gonna make it as a girl streamer. You got to be a VTuber. That's the way it is. And the reason why is because streamers that are really popular have to engage and appeal to a male audience. Frogan got 200 viewers. I think that's a good point.
So here he is correct in the VTuber space. Now, the VTuber thing is one thing that I'm going to have to put to the side because I'm just not too well versed in it. Like, there are certain things that perplex me, and I can't wrap my head around why. And I'm not going to pretend and make up a reason why because I'm not too versed in it. Like, the VTuber thing, I know it's popular, and I know it's been popular. Like, 2020, I was watching some VTubers on YouTube, and I would watch it for like a couple of minutes, and it wasn't that it was not entertaining. I was just staring at the chat because the rate of donations that were flying through there was unreal. I'm talking like $100, $250, $250, and this thing is flying. I'm just like, what? I didn't get it. Another thing that I also don't get is, and this is only Asian males. Asian males in the US that are diehard stans of girl K-pop groups. And it's like they were never big Ariana Grande fans or they were never big Taylor Swift fans, but with these girl K-pop groups, they're obsessed and they have them as their like profile picture. And these are grown men, mind you. We're not talking about like a teenager. And they're buying the merch. And like I had a friend that's like, yeah, you know, I just spent like $350 on this group's merch or something. And I'm like, what? It's not, and it was odd to me because this person's not even that much of a music fan either. Like, for example, like Billie Eilish, I mess with Billie Eilish. I got some Billie Eilish merch. I haven't been to a Billie Eilish show yet, but, you know, my profile's not going to be Billie Eilish. I barely talk about it, but it almost became like their identity. And I noticed this was only an Asian male thing. So this is another thing that I do not understand. I'm not going to pretend to understand. And I tried to ask some questions to the friend to get somewhat of a real answer, was unable to get that. However, with the female streamers here, what he's talking about, this also applies to entertainment, and it also applies to audiences where the majority are female. Like, where can you find, like, here he's talking about Queso. Well, he's not talking about Queso, but let's be real here, man. Like, if you're obese, which Queso is, and he's a funny guy, you're not... objectively, you are unattractive if you are obese. This is just, we're not going to play like about the science here, right? And here I am, neck bearded, sitting in my basement. So, you know, I'm up there with you obese folk. However, if we look at pop stars, right? Like, let's take a look at Sabrina Carpenter. Let's take a look at, well, Zendaya was never a pop star. They did try. The song that she had, Replay, I was actually listening to that a lot. Hey, I was really young. Like, come on, cut me a break. So you've got Sabrina Carpenter, you've got Ariana Grande, you've got, just think of any pop star, female artist that has a ton of female followers. All of them are usually thin and usually attractive, or they make them attractive. So you've got exceptions such as maybe Meghan Trainor at a certain point, Adele, and Meghan Trainor was quite short-lived, but Adele was never ugly in the face, and Adele was also supremely talented. So she had to have a supreme level of talent to overcome the fact that she was overweight. And if Adele had that type of a voice, and well, I mean, Adele's just one of the biggest artists ever. But my point being is that you don't have a Jay-Z or a Ed Sheeran woman equivalent that has the same fan base, and it's women. So women also want to watch somebody that looks good. So I think the whole thing about, honestly, I think they are less forgiving in looking up to, watching, being inspired by an entertainer that is less than attractive or less symmetrical, whatever you want to call it, than males are. Because, like I said, in female entertainment, the female watch channels and music, all that other stuff, you don't got Asmongolds. You don't got Quesos, right? You don't got Who's another example? I had a bunch of different people you could think of off the top of your head. And this does apply to male streamers too. Like, for example, and this is something relatively new because usually for males, you had to have like some sort of a talent or be entertaining to blow up. However, like a Marlon is one of the first new age entertainers, streamers that blew up with a male audience because the majority of Twitch is male. Like his TikTok might be mixed and so is his IG, but he blew up for his appearance. Like, to be fair, like, the guy's not the brightest. He's not the brightest. He's not the most entertaining. I will give him a lot of credit, though. He is very hardworking. Hardworking guy, a grinder, but he blew up because of his appearance. And I think a lot of the dudes, I don't think they want to get with him, but a lot of them like the way that he looks, I guess, or they like, and that's why also you see the huge disparity in his viewership when there's a girl involved. So they want to see his interactions with girls as well, because his viewership will 5x if there's a girl involved in the stream in any capacity whatsoever. And it can be any girl. It's not just a girl that's famous. And this is also another thing with female streamers is a lot of these female streamers that are at the top of the game got there by involving themselves with male streamers. And I don't mean involving like in a romantic way. Like, for example, a Pokimane, she really elevated her career by collaborating with Myth, TSM Myth, when he was the hottest thing on Fortnite. And even though they weren't together, as far as we know, just her being around guys, almost like a lot of a female streamer's blow up, it relies on her being around male streamers. And if I'm trying to think of off the top of my head, if there's like an opposite to that, you could say like a lot of male streamers that got on via e-dates or that blew up. Like you could say Aiden Ross, he got on because, you know, the Korinikov situation that really took him to the next level, and e-dates himself, and Rice Gum milked that content. Well, he brought that to the internet really and took it to a whole nother level. But yeah, we're not going to cap here. I think there's a split. It depends on the female streamer. But the top female streamers, for the most part, I think they have a split audience. If they're creating regular content, not seductive content, things like that, I think there's a percentage of their audience that would hit if given the opportunity. And there's a percentage that are, and I think it's a smaller percentage, that are like really lusting after them. And I think that's very, very different than just trying to paint them all as weirdos that are like, you know, like gooning to them. Granted though, when you have alternatives of male streamers that are significantly more entertaining, better at a game, etc., it really makes me think, well, why are you watching them then instead of these dudes that are available? Because if the content is identical in terms of entertainment value and the quality of it, which is not the case for the most part, which male and female streamers, then you're most likely just going to lean towards whichever you relate to more. Whether you be a guy, you're probably watching a guy, or if you're a girl, you're probably watching a girl. But yeah, let me know what y'all think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed, and I'm see y'all in the next one.